Eyelash mustache. Oh, hey team, you guys caught that.
What's going on? Good morning.
Good morning. We are back in the park here. This is our Tuesday little ritual with you guys now. We've done it 3 times, so now it's a real thing.
We are in North Park, San Diego.
It's real summertime out here. We have to go behind this tree right here.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, there isn't a lot of cover up here.
Yeah. Don't want to get burned at this hour in the morning.
When you're getting sunburned at 8:30 in the morning, that's really aggressive.
But you know what we're doing right now too?
Hi, Molly.
By not wearing sunglasses.
Hey, I talked to Molly this morning.
Hey, Molly. Nice.
Molly has a story for us.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to learn about your story, Molly.
Molly has a real story. She is not only part of our team, but she is also a client now. And she has a very, let's just say that she's been touched by a lot of the things that we talk about.
Awesome.
We'll talk more about this in the future.
Well, we very much value people who are on the same page working with us, so that's awesome. But you know, what I was saying is this morning what we're enjoying without our sunglasses on is this morning light.
Right?
There's a light that's called the blue light that you get in the morning. It's a different kind of ray of light that you get in the morning light. I think it's before 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's basically very calming for the eyes and calming for the body. So, like, you don't want to be wearing sunglasses. You don't want to be looking through a screen or a window at this light. You want to be out in it. Yeah. It's actually very awesome for the nervous system.
And if you think hard enough, when you look at the trees, the leaves kind of look like fingers, and when the wind blows, it looks like they're playing with each other. Maybe that's too much.
That was cool, but yes, when the wind blows, the trees look like fingers.
Yeah, they do. Like the palm trees specifically, if you have any of those near you.
But one other cool fun fact is if you feel like you need a cup of coffee in the morning, go outside first, enjoy the light, because that wakes up your nervous system, gets that cortisol pumping. That's what gets you up. So it's very much an important part of your of help, like basically clocking your circadian rhythm. Cortisol is very important, actually. We oftentimes have too much of it because of stress, but cortisol is very normal to have certain levels of it. It ebbs and flows throughout the day, which is why you fall in this sleep-wake cycle. Anyway, cool.
Nuggets.
So
today we've got a fun topic. I think it's a super fun topic. So we're going to be getting into we're going to teach you a little bit about resistance breathing. If you've ever been in the yogi world, this Ujjayi breath is really fun. Yeah, why is there always, if you take a yoga class, there's always like some creepy dude in there that like over Ujjayis. He makes, you're like, bro, settle down. I'm trying to get my game on over here.
There usually is one or two.
But we want to start this thing off talking a little bit about vulnerability, and we happen to be joined by Dr. Theresa Larson, who has created this really awesome platform called the Lead You First platform. And it's really like the big vision of what we are doing here. Like, yes, we're doing this low back pain thing, but when you look out over like what is our goal and what is our like 10-year vision of what are people going to gain from working with us, and it's about empowering people with the information and knowledge to hold themselves accountable. And if you are unable to heal your own pain, if you don't have a checklist of things that you can do to keep your own body healthy, nutrition, mindset, physical piece, if you are unable to hold yourself accountable, you're not going to be 100% for the people that are around you. And part of that platform is the word love, starting with Lead You First.
Open to change, V, vulnerability, and E, enduring mindset.
Right? So you guys thought we were just throwing this whole thing together. There's some real stuff behind it. So I assume everybody has read the book Warrior because it's phenomenal, and she wrote it. But I think the vulnerability is one of the coolest things that I didn't know existed, that it takes a long time to get to these places, and a lot of breath work really helps you connect with these ideas because it gives you some time to kind of chill out, so and really think about like what's important to you. And when things are important to you, there's a risk that you're going to fail, and with that comes a lot of insecurity, a lot of questioning yourself, and really doing a lot of the self-work of how important is this going to be. Like, if I'm going to put 100% of me into this project or into my relationships, there's a risk you're going to fail. And that vulnerability, I think, takes us to a lot of new places in our lives. And if you want to share a little bit of your story and kind of how you learned about vulnerability and how it's affected kind of your growth curve.
Well, vulnerability, too, the really cool outcome of it is that it very much breeds authenticity. So when you are vulnerable with people you care about, they could be coworkers, they could be family members, you can't not be authentic sharing. So when I was in the Marine Corps and I was deployed, I was struggling with a mental illness. I had an eating disorder, and it was getting to the point, it was very much an internal war I was having with myself. And a lot of people don't understand what that is. I mean, there are people that understand what it's like, but no one around me could see it. They just thought, oh, you're just this fitness person, you're an officer in the Marine Corps, you have your shit stuff together, Nah.
Sorry, Molly.
Yeah.
You're good.
You have your stuff together, and but I was struggling internally, and I had to ask for help eventually, because I knew that I did not want to, but I knew that someone else would be affected, and my own life was in jeopardy too. So not only my own life, but the Marines that worked for me, because I wasn't just sitting behind a desk. I was doing a lot of missions out of the wire, in Fallujah City at night, doing things that a lot of women in my position weren't doing at that time, things that we aren't really supposed to talk about. And so asking for help, by doing that, opened up a huge can of worms. One, it was very hard to do, but it led me down a path of healing. It led me to the right people to help me get on a path of healing. It also was very hard because I was very judged as well. So once I opened my mouth and started to tell people what was going on, there was the judgment, and then there was the help. And that was hard. Both were very hard to, one was nice to have, and the other one was, well, very, very hard to combat and push through. And I think we all in our life experience people who judge us. I think we also judge people, and it's the being aware of that, catching yourself, because usually how you judge someone else is how you judge yourself. Life is very much a mirror. But I had a lot of things to work through in that moment. After that moment, I asked for help. But years later, I realized that what I had done and the path I was down now, sharing my story, talking about it, asking for help, on a healing journey of figuring out my life, how can I keep myself healthy for the long run and stay in recovery, that was vulnerability right there. The ability to be open and share with an open heart to people who you care about, or people who you think will respect your story. There are people that you're going to share with that don't, and that's going to hurt. But for the most part, when you open and share to people you love, or people that you respect, people that you work with, especially people that you respect, it's a very powerful thing. Because what you'll find is that you're not alone. Magnus agrees. Magnus is awesome.
Hanging out.
Yeah, he's hanging out. But it's a very powerful feeling. And because it's you sharing from your heart. You can't not be authentic. People respect that for the most part. And oftentimes, if there is an insecurity in them, that will come out in the conversation. And it has nothing to do with you. And it's, again, I can only describe the feeling of it, is that it's very powerful. There are many people who are still very afraid to be vulnerable, that you probably have in your life, that I have in my life. And you can tell when you're having a conversation with them. It's usually not from from their perspective not authentic. And that's okay, because not everyone is at that stage yet. But what I have found is the more I have opened up, shared my story, even if I don't share my story, but I'm authentic and vulnerable in the way I share about my work with my coworkers and why I do things the way I do, they're more likely to open up with me and share with me. So it often takes someone to start that. And so part of the lead you first is taking responsibility for yourself, being vulnerable, being able to open up to people you love. And that will start to like pay it forward to other people. Other people will start to share, open up. And that's a really awesome culture to create, is a culture of vulnerability. And it is not a weakness like some of you may think. Being open, asking for help, sharing. That's the really cool thing about working with Anders is I've worked with many, many physical therapists, strength coaches, people in the fitness industry, and very few like to actually share their struggles, their ups and downs. They only want to show you what their perfect life they portray online. They don't want to talk about the things they struggle with, like their food issues, the fact that they are so far off of the middle range of eating that, you know, they struggle with food, but they don't want to admit it. They struggle with alcohol, they don't want to admit it. They struggle with being low, they don't want to admit it. They struggle with body image, don't want to admit it. When you start to like admit to those things, you become human. You're a human being. And what's really cool about working with Anders is that we've been able to share openly about our own struggles and our successes. And we've been able to help each other become successful and become support for each other. And it's been an awesome working relationship.
I couldn't agree more. I think that this vulnerability piece is something that I feel like in my younger years I ran from, whether it was like trying to put the ego and what I wanted people to think in front of what was actually going on. And it wasn't until I kind of set that aside and realized, like, I'm very interested in running a great gym, and I'm very interested in being really good at CrossFit, and I'm going to stop everything else in my path. And then once I kind of started to connect with, like, it is important to me, and if I fail, that's going to suck, because it's not just, oh, it didn't work out. Like, no, I put 100% of my life into this, and I arranged all of the pieces around me to reach specific goals. And if I don't get to these goals, it's going to hurt and it's going to sting, and everyone around you is in support of that, and they know how passionate you are about things. And every morning you kind of have to wake up and face that fear of, like, this might not be perfect and I might not get there, but I'm still going to show up every day and do my best. And one thing that I realized was, like, this was actually kind of a theme that had been running through my life that I was just never aware of until I took the time and started working with you and slowing things down, all the way from leaving home when I was 14 to go to school, so I could find out if I could be good at hockey. Like, I needed to know, and I didn't realize that that was like a conversation that I was having in my own head at 13 years old. My dad kind of handed me a check and said, if you'd like to leave home, here's the money to do it, but you have to drop this in the mailbox because I'm not doing it for you. And I didn't really come out of my room for a week, and I didn't realize that at the time, like, I was dealing with vulnerability. Like, I was having a real conversation with myself that kind of set this path for the rest of my life of, if you really want to find out if you're good at something, you're not allowed to just kind of go about it, because you're going to look back and think, oh, that was, oh, maybe I could have been a little bit better. No, like, you get up and you leave home, because there's better opportunities elsewhere, and if you don't take those opportunities when they present themselves, like, you're going to regret something. When you open a business, when you develop friendships, commit to these things and understand that there's a chance that you may be let down, you may get hurt, but at least you didn't leave anything on the table. And I think that's something that we are dealing with every day of our lives right now. Like, there's a zillion personal trainers in the world. There's a zillion physical therapists in the world. There's significantly fewer of them that have the vision and the desire to want to play at the next level and walk into corporations and change the face of wellness in our country. Even fewer are the people that openly talk about being the best. And that's what we talk about a lot. And I don't know what qualifies people as the best, but we wake up and we grind, and it's really important to us that if you think about like what is who is universally considered the best at what they do, in order for that person to actually achieve that level, they have to do so much self-work and so much like digging into why this is important to them and their purpose. And it's not some overnight thing where you see like, oh, this guy just was like born, or this person was just born with this gift. Like, no, they put the work in, and it matters to them, and they do it for 10, 12 hours a day for 10, 20 years in a row. And that is the thing that drives us. Like, can we keep this level of effort going forever? And what does it take to become universally known as the best? And you have to really step out of your comfort zone and let people know that, like, we don't know what tomorrow brings, but
yeah,
we've got Magnus over here hanging out with us in a park. We're going to teach you guys a little bit about breathing because it's really important to us. And I think that these pieces really work well into this idea of vulnerability, because we don't really know. A year ago when we started this, we didn't know that we'd be having the opportunities that we have now, and reaching the people the way that we do, and we still don't know what happens a year from now, but we are waking up every day and grinding and putting ourselves out there to talk about it.
I think the cool thing is we just had one of our Q2 meetings yesterday for our company, and the goals and vision that we had in January have since shifted a little bit. They've actually grown, and we have cultivated opportunities, and opportunities have come to us this year that we never envisioned. And that kind of, there's a question of manpower. Like, okay, this is awesome, how can we get it done? But the cool thing is, like, we're just open to that, though. We're not so steadfast on, we have to do it one way, this way only, with these kind of people. Like, we're open to making things work, because our whole mission is to affect as many people as possible with health. And I think that's the cool piece, is like, when you, that's our mission. That's it. Affect as many people as possible. And oh, by the way, come into a corporation and talk to a human like a human. Not talk to them like a freaking, fitness trainer, aggro, muscle chick. Like, no. I've had my own share of mental issues as well as physical, and I'm a new mom. I've got my own stuff that I'm willing to share, because I'm on this journey just like everyone else. And by no means are we trying to be seen as perfect people. We are in this, and we want people to know they're not alone and that they can heal.
Yeah, one of my really good friends, I have a standing Friday afternoon call where we talk about a lot of these things, and he's a financial advisor, and in these conversations it comes up, he's like, dude, I just don't want to be another one of these like alpha looking Wall Street financial advisors. Like, that's not my life, that's not what I want, and why am I going to work with people that are looking for this like over aggressive, like super alpha thing? And I'm like, no, that's actually not why people want to work with you at all. They want to work with you because they know you're a great family person. They know that you've created this financial freedom in your life. They know that you are interested in the softer side of life, where you're not trying to just run people over with your sweet Bentley, and taking care of people. And a lot of that just really comes down to like understanding who you are and what's actually important. And very rarely are the things that are super important to you driven out of that like alpha, super aggressive side. And it's more the compassionate, softer side of things that you truly cherish. Like, yes, we need both sides of this, and the alpha kind of drives the competitiveness that makes you want to get better, but the piece that vulnerability piece is often on the other side of that, of why are you doing this? And you're doing it because it's really important to you, and there's risk involved, and coming to terms with that risk and understanding that it's still important to wake up and do all that. What we want to talk about a little bit is this fun thing called restricted breathing, which we're going to practice a little bit. Hopefully you can take it throughout the rest of the week, but we are going to, it's a very simple concept, anywhere from, if you've ever been into a yoga class, they call this the Ujjayi breath, where you're kind of breathing through the back of your throat. If that is really challenging for you, you can purse your lips and breathe through your mouth. And what we're trying to do is just create some additional vibrations. We're going to keep the same breath count as far as the coherent breathing that we did last week. So we're looking for a 6-second inhale, 6-second exhale, keeping things on a 5 breath per minute rate. And the restricted breathing piece, we can, if you've ever done any of these classes and you thought, oh wow, this teacher's gonna get really, really weird because he's gonna make me do this Om thing at the end, and it makes me feel so weird. Realize that all this stuff, whether it's singing, whether it's chanting, whether it's Oming, whether it's Ujjayi breathing, what we're trying to do is just restrict the airflow through your vocal cords, your larynx, and it activates your parasympathetic a little bit better, and creating some vibrations, and that is kind of our goal of the week. Is
good vibrations,
right?
Yeah.
Side note, Theresa and I almost started a podcast like 2 years ago before we started this business together.
Yeah.
We've been wanting to do this for a while, and we almost called it vibrations, because if you put out the good vibrations, they come back to you.
That's right. You want me to, real quick too, when we do this, so a lot of beginner breathers, meditators are, we got this monkey mind, wants to go all over the place. So one way to help that is by counting. So counting your breaths. The goal is to do just 1 to 10 continuously, especially if you're finding your mind is just going to like all the lists of things you have to do, which is usually common. It's not usually something exciting. It's usually like, oh man, look at all the things I have to do today or tomorrow. Or what did that person tell me earlier, or whatever. So what you do is you inhale and then you exhale out the number. You inhale and you exhale out the number. And the goal is to be focused on the rise and fall of that diaphragm. So when you breathe in, you fill up the belly. You breathe out. The focus is on that physiological act of breathing. And so you have to pay attention to that when you breathe out and count 1, count 2. And you might find your mind wandering, so go back to 1. Right? Every time you wander, go back to 1. But try to get to 10 over the next 10 minutes.
It's really hard.
It is hard.
So we got 10 minutes.
Sweet. I got
Start
my
off
sweet
with
gong.
a little bit of restricted breathing if it starts to get challenging, or you feel weird doing it in your office.
How do you do it?
Just
so you go through it's a throat. It's a deep throat.
Yeah, you're breathing through your throat instead of just your nose or your mouth.
Kind of like if you're in labor. You breathe in through the nose.
Guys out there, you know that.
So you breathe deep.
Yeah.
When you breathe out, you breathe deep into your abdomen.
We're just creating some vibrations inside you. It helps connect the brain and the body.
Do you want that? No.
Nah.
Okay.
That's probably a little aggressive. You can do that on your own, which is cool. It can get as crazy as you want. No, we're not going to do a
lion
big...
breath?
What's the one where they like have your head back? Is that the same?
That's the lion breath, where it's like breathe out and let your tongue come out.
If you're still here with us, you can tell we have no fun doing this. We would do this even if you weren't with us, so congratulations, you made it. So here we go, 10 minutes. Try and start this thing off with a little bit of restricted breathing, then move into your breath. Practice the normal 6 in, 6 out, and then maybe we can do a little
good alignment with the spine.
Pulsing, or body, what is that?
Yes, going around the body.
Yeah. Starting
with the jaw, relax the jaw,
checking
shoulders.
Your joints.
Just check in with your body and make sure you're relaxed. All right, ready?
3, 2, 1, get it.
This is 20 seconds before the gong. Warm up, get in position.
If you Om at your desk, you're super crushing it.
I'll be rocking the baby. Baby is
Baby's
gonna
in.
be Oming with us. Hey, he's sleepy. Sleepy Happy baby.
That's so rad. He totally does this with us.
1. woke up. Magnus knew.
Yeah, he was ready.
It's time to wake up. He's like, you guys are just sitting there, quiet.
What are you doing?
Awesome. You know what I felt during that?
What do you got?
So this is like a really awesome spot right here, but just like feeling the breeze. When your eyes are closed, you pay attention more to the breeze, the air. It's very soothing and comforting. It's almost like nature giving you a hug, and just a really good, nice sense of gratitude came over me, which is nice.
I can't beat that. I don't want to beat that. That's a really good way to end this thing. We're going to be back next week, back in the park. Come hang out.
8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
We are going to do a little breath moving and learning how we can kind of start to feel the breath inside our bodies, and then talking about compassion. Get ready.
That's good.
We're on a roll with these things, and we enjoy doing them, as you can clearly see. So come hang out with us. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye, guys.